The U.S. stocks closed at fresh record highs on Friday, even though U.S. President Trump cast doubts on progress in concluding a U.S. trade deal with China after optimism that the long-running dispute would be solved had powered last week's rally. The week has been dominated by trade headlines, sending stocks sharply higher. Still, some of the enthusiasm lifting stocks earlier waned on Friday, highlighting the impact of trade sentiment on stock investors. The S&P 500 index advanced to seize a fresh closing high of 3,093.08. For the week, the index gained 1.8%. Shares of financials and energy companies in the S&P 500 have been some of the biggest winners last week. Meanwhile, the Dow Jones Industrial Average breached its first new high since July, closing at a new record of 27,681.24 on Friday. For the week, the 30 stock average added 2.35%. It gained for a third straight week. The latest doubts about resolving the trade war after U.S. President Trump said the U.S. has not agreed to a rollback were unable to upend the week's overall stock market rally, which gained steam after China's Ministry of Commerce said an agreement had been achieved to jointly eliminate some tariffs in stages as a part of the Phase 1 pact. In the meantime, the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite closed at 8,475.31 on Friday, with a 2.2% weekly gain after hitting its second highest close in history on Thursday. Adding to the enthusiasm, earnings have largely been better than investors had expected. Thus, Walt Disney shares climbed by 4.2% after the company's earnings beat analysts' expectations. The stock ended at $137.96 on Friday, posting a 6.1% gain week on week. Walt Disney posted solid financial results in the final quarter of fiscal 2019. Disney generated revenue of $19.1 billion last quarter, up from $14.3 billion a year earlier, mainly due to the Fox acquisition. Meanwhile, Gap shares were among the losers last week. The stock lost 7.6% during a session on Friday, closing at $16.68. Still, it managed to post a gain on a weekly basis. The stock slumped after the apparel maker pared its profit targets for the year and said Chief Executive Art Peck would step down. Investors are on watch for any headlines this week that could point to a first-phase trade deal between the US and China after mixed messages from the White House. Among other events, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell will address the Joint Economic Committee of Congress on Wednesday. Thursday will bring China retail sales and industrial production data. Investors will also be watching monthly US retail sales on Friday. And you've watched Weekly Financial Review on InstaTV. See you back soon.